Alright, so let's go ahead and go over the station activity that we did today. First of all, number one, for your domain, you are looking at all the values from left to right. So if you look at this function, there is no boundary you can draw for this because it's going to keep going to infinity. And there's no boundary you can draw going to the right, so this is all real numbers. And one just side note, this is a linear function because it's a straight line, so you know your domain and range is going to both be all real numbers. And yes, this is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Second domain, again, this keeps going left and this keeps going right, so there is no boundary you can draw, therefore it's all real numbers. And your range is actually only one value. This line is the highest and it's the lowest point. So you really only have one value in your range, and that's -3. Yes, this is still a function because it passes the vertical line test. For your function here, domain, there is no boundary because this is going to keep going left and this is going to keep going right. So therefore, again, all real numbers. However, for your range, you do have a lowest point. Your lowest point is -3, so it's going to go from -3 up to infinity because this is going to keep going up and this is going to keep going up. And yes, this is again a function. And actually, just to kind of knock this out, these are all functions. Okay. Domain for this one, again, just like the one before, letter C, all real numbers. And then for range, the highest point is 2, but the lowest point is -infinity. So it's going to go from -infinity, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to +2. Domain here, this function stops, goes down to -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it starts at -5, goes all the way up to +1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 5. And your range goes from 0 up to 1, 2, 3, 4. So from 0, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 4. And then finally, for the last function, your domain, again, continues left and right, just like this function up here. But your range values go from -infinity because there is no lowest point. This is going to keep going down. Less than or equal to y, less than or equal to -1. So that's domain range. For station 2, we are looking at identifying the equations of the lines. So you're looking for slope and y-intercept. So for letter A, your slope is going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So far that's y equals 1x, or just x. For your y-intercept, it intersects the y-axis at -1, -2, -3, so I'm just going to add on a -3. And that's what I'm going to do for all these. Slope here, up 1, 2, 3 over 1. So that's y equals 3x. 3 over 1. You don't need the 1 though. And then it's going through 0, 0. So I could do +0, but I actually don't even need that. So my function is just y equals 3x. For this one, you go down 1, so that's -1 over 2. So that's y equals -1 over 2x. And then the y-intercept is at +2, so that's going to be +2, which is right here. For the next equation, it's a horizontal line that passes through -1, so the slope is 0. So that's y equals 0x, because you can't go up and over anything, it's just a flat line. And then since it goes through -1, your y-intercept is -1. Now you really don't even have to write this, you could just do y equals -1. And then finally over here, from this point you're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is the same as 4 over 6x. And then it goes through -1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you could reduce that 4/6 to 2/3. At any point during this video, don't forget that you can pause this. Okay? Last line, it's a vertical line. We talked about these today. Can't write an equation for vertical lines, okay, because the slope is undefined. Because it's not a function, it does not pass the vertical line test. However, -1, -2, -3, -4, it passes through -4 on the x-axis, so therefore it's x equals -4. It's written in terms of x equals. All right, station 3 is to graph each of the equations. So just like we did before, we're going to kind of work backwards. We're going to graph the y-intercept. We get the y-intercept from that value we add or subtract. Then I'm going to use my slope of down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. And I'm going to put points, and then I'm going to connect them with a line. My domain and range, since this is a linear function, is going to be all real numbers. Over here, my y-intercept is -4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And notice you are getting this straight line. And again, since this is a linear function, it's all real numbers. Station 4, state each of this is a function, explain why or why not. And all of these, you're just going to use the vertical line test. Okay? So, vertical line test, yes. Vertical line test, hits here and here, so that's a no. Vertical line test, no. Vertical line test, yes, this passes. Vertical line test, yes, this passes. Vertical line test, yes, this passes. No, this does not pass. And last one, vertical line test, yes, this passes. So we have a couple no's, B, C, and G are all no's. Finally, station 5, we're going to evaluate each function for the given value. So we're going to plug in 5. So for this function here, I'm going to plug in a 5 for that x. So it'll say f of 5 equals -3 times 5 plus 8. So -15 plus 8, which is -7. For the next function, I'm going to plug in that 3/2 for x. So f of 3 over 2 is equal to -2 times 3 over 2 plus 5 divided by 4. -2 plus 3 over 2 is actually -3. -3 plus 5 is 2, and 2/4 is the same as 1/2. For the next problem, actually I'm going to go ahead and move, see if I can, undo. Let me move this aside and go ahead and move. Let me pause it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put this 1 in for x, so that's going to be -5 times 1. That's f of 1, or h. I guess we're using an h now here. So we're going to do h of 1. So it's -5 plus times 1 plus 2 over 3. So -5 times 1 is -5. -5 plus 2 is -3. -3 divided by 3 is -1. Again, you could plug that in your calculator. For number 7, it's going to be f of -7 is equal to the absolute value, that's what those lines are, -7 minus 4. So I'm going to now evaluate this. 2 times -7 is -14. -14 minus 4 is -18. The absolute value of -18 is 18. Next one, g of 3. So g of 3 is equal to 4 times 3 squared plus 5 times 3 over 2. And again, I'm just going to simplify. So it's going to be 3 squared, which is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 5 times 3 is 15, so 36 plus 15 is 51. 51 over 2, you could just leave that as a fraction, or you could simplify it into a mixed number. Finally, the last one, we're going to do the square root of 15 minus 6. 15 minus 6 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. Okay, so that's just evaluating functions for a given value. If you have any questions, please make sure that you ask. Otherwise, pause this video, replay it as many times as you need.